Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Art Traveler. Today, we are happy to meet one of my friend, Frankie. Frankie, look, unfortunately, he is now is a station in China, so only I can interview him through the internet. You have been is working in various city, and after you work for a few years, finally you decide to start your own practice. And then you further expand your practice not only in Hong Kong and then expand to Shenzhen as well. Can you tell us about your story?
Starts from my overseas studies. After working several years, I want to fulfill my personal goal to study overseas. So I saved my money over the several years of salary, and then I successfully applied to New York, the Columbia University. Uh, During that period, I have no income. My wife support me. So after completed my study, when I returned back to Hong Kong, I think, can I try something new or can I make a new start? I rented a desk space from a structural engineer in Hong Kong. Starting my practice, I try to avoid certain project type I have been doing during my previous career. For example, try to avoid doing conventional residential towers in Hong Kong or some very typical building. So try to see whether my friends or my network can have some interesting small architecture as a start. At that time, I start a small village house, the vice versa house, and also a very small international school in Hong Kong. And then gradually, as my previous working in an American company before my overseas studies, I have some friends in China, and I see whether I can have some interesting opportunities in China. So it is a big opportunity in China at that time. 14 years ago, there are huge construction development in many different cities, many different places. So also Hong Kong architects, they have a very good understanding of how to utilize a land, and also they have a very sharp observation how to make the best value out of a site. I gave many advices to my friends and clients. Gradually, they offer us some small competition or some conceptual design to do. And then I did not intend to set up an office in China because Hong Kong is my home and I actually live in Hong Kong every day. But at that time, the Chinese client, when they come to Hong Kong to meet me, it's not very convenient. They need to apply the business visa. So maybe if I go to Shenzhen, the nearest point to Hong Kong, I can have a day trip. So afternoon meeting and then evening I'm back to Hong Kong. So I often arrange the meeting at Shenzhen. And then gradually, I think why not I rent a desk space in Shenzhen from my friend's office. And then this is the starting point of the setting up my office in China. What is a book city? It is something very like Hong Kong, something that is ambiguous. It is not a library. And then it is not a pure private profit-driven bookstore. But in Shenzhen, it is the first city in the entire China to have a program called Book City, which means that the land is the government land, and then this is a government owned company to build a building and to sell the book. Book selling is their business, that they do not rely entirely the income from book selling to run the building. They can have many other events like student education, and then they can even rent a little part of the building as a cafe, canteen, or some stationery shop. It's a mix of public and kind of private business. We start our design by looking maybe 5 to 10 years later, because you may notice that when we were at school, we may need to read the book, school homeworks, but nowadays, in recent years, we have a lot of other devices, electronic devices, that can replace the function of the book. We can browse the website and then also read the electronic book, the ebook in devices. So we observed that the selling of physical book is gradually declining. And also, when we want to purchase a book, we can just order online. So why still we have Book City in 10 years later? So we think there are some age group that may still need to read the book, especially the students, primary students and secondary students. The other reason is for adult or citizen like us. We may want to find a very different environment from our home. Why we want to drive or take a bus to Book City to buy a book? That the place, the physical environment must provide you with a special experience, or there may be some interesting cultural event attracting you to there. So we propose we change the brief. Why not we reduce the space for containing books and then free up space for more events or flexible space. So maybe when the Book City open the first year, they can have more book storage space. Later on, because we are putting in the flexible space, you can change according to the years, your selling numbers or your event arrangement. So this is the starting point. We do the design. Because we want to provide very different physical environment. So we provide terraces at every levels of the Book City. Whenever you read the book or you find the book, you are next to a garden or terrace. We are providing a very natural environment. You have a very calm setting that can change your mindset. Reading the books here is very different from that you're staying at home. And also, you can also become a social event for yourself with your friends there. So we arrange the desk space, not just linear individual desks. We have a big desk. Also, even in the children area, we provide kind of artificial lawn, the artificial grass space on ground, just like a small square. So all the children, they can sit around on the ground. They can take off their shoes. And we provide different interesting furniture according to the ergonomics of the children. If you see the axonometric diagram of the Book City, actually it's a me rendering. We highlighted in a brown color. We name it as a cultural promenade. And the building itself, you may see there's so many openings across the facade. These are the gardens I mentioned. And also on the top of the building, we did a Sky Cultural Forum, which can hold many meaningful discussion, forum talk. And also at daytime, when it is not used, people can go up to the building to watch the entire city. Somehow we want to connect people, just like the book connect us to the author, or the book connect us to the content of different culture. The building of Book City should connect the readers, not just with the book, with the nature. We want to connect them with the nature and with the city. Somehow when you go up, suddenly there's a very breathtaking view of the city. You can watch how the city is developed. And from the outside, that Sky Forum become a very transparent program at the street corners. So whenever you drive, when there's a lighting meeting up, you see today we have events happening. Our site is in a huge, low density village house development. And then the entire development, we learned that it will be redeveloped into high rises to provide better hygienic conditions, and also with more schools, public projects and sports field and libraries, etc., etc. And then I was very shocked because all the local fabrics, although they are very old and may not be in the very good conditions, but all the street lane, very little public space, open space, I found a lot of young people, they read outside in the street because it is with a breeze, and also they can read with their students. Their home is too small with other friends. And some elderly people, they play card games or mahjong in the late afternoon. And also some people, they ride a bicycle to deliver the Coca-Cola or some the snacks to the convenience store. So the street and open space is very lively and with a lot of private and public activities. So, and another reason is that when the entire village was removed, our art center will become the first building appear in the entire site. So it may become the oldest building after 10 years because we are the first building to build. We are the oldest age. So many of the building, can they refer the site context, our cultural center as a site context in future? So I try to capture the local materials, the local, the tiles, the scale of the tiles, to become our building. And also, although it is a 4-story building, if you see the facade elevation, we split the building mass into different scales in order that it can relate to the usual scale and the texture of the old village. We question ourselves, can we use the building to connect the city memory back to for the younger generations. And secondly, when I design the cultural center, I think whether the internal space can have the same scale of the street name, which is about 2 to 3 meters wide, and then some small square, which may be about 6 by 7 meters square. So we try to see those street scale and open space, can they incorporate inside the building? So when you walk around the building, you feel the same comfortable scale at the old village. So this is a starting point. So we propose to the client, can we organize a museum without any walls? So it is not the conventional museum or art gallery. You go to different rooms, you can view different artists. There's no rooms, no almost a wallless museum. It is a passageway. You can put the art piece along the passageway. And then when going into the ground floor, we will find a cafe, and then going up, we find a black box theater. And then go up again, we find a library. So we try to link different programs with those street name and open space scale. And then along this journey, you can place our art pieces. So this is the starting point of the design. The steps also very gentle. And then suddenly, for example, in level 2, the steps extend to become a lecture theater. We provide terraces at different level. So whenever you walk up every level, you will see the greens and you see the sunlight. Cultural journey, linking the buildings, and then you can find very soft northern light, filtering the sunlight into the space. We save the energy, as well as we make it a very stable, natural sunlit environment. And then for the facade, I mentioned, we try to study the scale of the local village tiles. We use the same scale, it become a metal panel. And then it is collected to the building, but it is not putting together tightly. We provide spaces, the gap, so they can filter the sunlight to the libraries, and also it become a breathable skin. And then we make each metal panel with a 3-dimensional profile. We make 2 modules, and then we can apply it dynamically across the building. So it becomes a very interesting social place. We are very surprised that if the design can become a very social important connector or element to the city, then the people will dedicate some of their time to maintain it or to become part of the stakeholder. When you go to the shopping malls, so many of the shopping malls, they look the same or similar. The prototype is still an arcade and atrium, for example. And then suddenly, that problem is much more severe in China. Many of them, they have the same shops because many of them have the same supermarket, and even some of them may have very similar design. So I have an inspiration that also I become the future direction. Can we make the retail space very different by applying the art or a very aesthetic intervention into the space. So it may not be able to distinguish whether it is a kind of a museum, gallery, or a shopping mall. When I am doing the commercial projects and then the cultural project, can they find art as a connection to merge the two types of program together to become very interesting hybrid? So this is my future visions. Can we attempt to do something quite unique and different?